and culture as depicted from the 6th Uchvasa of Harshacharita. Language is a systematic means of communicating ideas or feelings by the use of conventionalized signs, sounds, gestures or marks having understood meanings. Whereas culture is the customary beliefs, social forms and material traits of a racial, religious or social group. It is also the characteristic features of everyday existence, such as divergence or way of life, shared by people in a place or time. Thus, language and culture are deeply related. Any language is a clear representation of the thoughts and ideologies of the people. Sanskrit Gadya, that is prose literature, is rich in terms of the content and the style, riti as well. The saying of the poet Dandin is famous, stating the importance of composing the Gadya literature as Gadyan Kavina Nikasham Vadanti. The historical composition of the poet Bana, based on the king Harshavardhana, is no exception to this. It is called Harshacharitam. This treatise has total 8 parts, Uchvasas. The 6th Uchvasa mainly depicts the difficult period in the life of King Harsha when his elder brother dies just after the death of their father. The poet Bana, who happened to be the court poet of Harsha, observed all these events very minutely and penned them down beautifully in his treatise. There is a wonderful mixture of rasas and stylistically also the various bhavas are depicted minutely. There have been many attempts of cultural studies in Sanskrit literature. Harshacharitam is also one of them. The renowned Sanskrit scholar V.S. Agarwal has presented the cultural study of Harshacharitam in his book Harshacharita Sanskritik Adhyayan. He states a detailed account of various cultural factors that are noticed from each part of the composition. The subject index of each Uchvasa is written by Agarwal in the beginning of his book. Some other translations and commentaries on this treatise were also referred to for this paper. The focus of the present paper is primarily on the various cultural factors reflected from the text and different styles adopted by the author for description of those factors. The 6th Uchvasa of Harshacharitam was thoroughly read more than once. The word-to-word meanings, their deeper meanings, and suggesting meanings were studied. The cultural references were noted from the text. The following sequence of events was noted from the selected part. There are total 20 subjects present in the Uchvasa. The list is very long, so I cut it short. The days of Ashaucha, the Paricharakas of Rajyavardhana and the grief of Rajyavardhana, meeting of 2 brothers, narration of Rajyavardhana's grief by himself, Harsha's thoughts on detached condition of Rajyavardhana, arrival of lamenting Samvadaka and his narration, the rage of anger of Rajyavardhana, outburst of Rajyavardhana full of heroic sentiment, Harshavardhana requests Rajyavardhana to accompany him, Rajyavardhana leaves and Harsha thinks of bad things, news of killing of Rajyavardhana and rage of anger of Harsha, Harsha's thoughts about Gauda king, narration of Simhanada and his speech full of heroic statement, preaching by Simhanada to Harsha, assurance by Harsha to Simhanada and Harsha's assertion, Harsha's lamenting, then description of Skandagupta, the chief of elephantry, dialogue between Harsha and Skandagupta, narration by Skandagupta about the flaws caused by negligence and the bad omens in the enemy region. These are some of the subjects covered in this Uchvasa. From these, the points that are significant from the viewpoint of cultural aspects were chosen and studied deeply. So I present the findings now. The days of Ashaucha. This is a concept where after the death of the king Prabhakaravardhana, some rituals were followed and restrictions were observed for the duration of a fortnight. Those days are known as the days of Ashaucha. Many references were found about the final rites and customs observed thereafter. In India, after the death of a family member, usually the rituals are carried out for 10, 13, 14 or 40 days. The rituals show not only the religious beliefs but also the psychological healing process of the kith and king. The Harshacharita also depicts the soft side of the valorous people in the Harsha's kingdom with that. The description points out to the custom of releasing a mighty bull to the forest in the memory of a valorous person. In this case, this is a king. So an elephant is released to the forest as a ritual. The next reference is made about the Chita Chaitya Chinha. This is a memoir of the dead person with his remnants, usually bones, and it is marked with Sudha, that is lime. So this reference is found in these Ashaucha description. Then Kaviruditaka is another reference which is significant from the cultural point of view. Kaviruditaka is lamenting by expert people who are expert in lamenting. So we find this tradition even now present in Rajasthan. In today's Rajasthan also, whenever a rich person dies, Rudalis are called for lamenting. So this reference is found in Harshacharitam 6th Uchvasa. Along with this, Bhava Lakshana Saptami, this linguistic feature is greatly observed here with a long list of adjectives and pictures description. We find a continuous and profound use of Bhava Lakshana Saptami also. The second finding is the description of detachment of Rajyavardhana and Harsha in the rage of anger. Both these descriptions have ample references of Puranic myths and regional socio-cultural specialities. The description of detachment of Rajyavardhana goes like this. One significant statement I am quoting. Bahumruta patava gunthanam ranjita rangam janangamanam iva vamshavaidham anaryam shriyam tyaktum abhilashati me manaha. Rajyavardhana is detached from the kingdom because of the grief caused by his father's death. And so he says that like a Shri Devi of Janangama, that is Chandala people, I want to leave and abandon this kingdom. So V.S. Agarwal also quotes from this, and he has a very interesting quotation that this is Janagama he states, and from Pali dictionary he quotes that these are the people who have a tradition of cremation of, they have the responsibility of cremating the dead people, and the cloth which covers the dead person is significant for them. So in a practice so that they don't get any sin from practicing their duty, what do they do on the day of Dashera? They collect all those clothes and they tie it in the form of a circular head like thing, and they have a procession of that Shri Devi, and then they leave it or abandon it in a lake. So that tradition is also suggested by Dr. V.S. Agarwal, and that we find in this Shri Devi reference of this Uchvasa. Then there is a second reference of Lokapala, when the news of Rajyavardhana's death also comes, and Harsha is grieved at the same time. He is the only one left for performing the duties. So all the Lokapalas who happen to help the king, they are water, air, fire and earth. They all help or assist Harsha in having courage to fight the condition. So that reference of Lokapala is also significant from the cultural point of view. Then the third finding is thoughts of Harsha about Gauda king. Gauda king is the one who has killed Rajyavardhana. So there are many indications in the description about great kings and their achievements, and Harsha tells everyone that he would be the one to kill Gauda, and then he takes the oath, that is Pratidnya. So in this description, Harsha compares Gauda king with Drishtadyumna, who collected only the bad fame by practicing bad deeds. And also, he compares him to Kuvaikatika. Kuvaikatika are those observers of jewels or examiners of jewels who are not that profound or who are bad examiners of any jewel, and in time they tend to ruin that jewel. So he compares Gauda king to that Kuvaikatika. Then he also remembers Parashurama, who is known to kill Kshatriyas and perform his duties time and again. Then the next, last significant finding is the description of bad omens. The sixth Uchvasa describes the bad omens at two places. Firstly, before the news of Rajyavardhana's death came in, and secondly, after the determination or oath taken by Harsha, the enemies felt the bad omens. Those are highly indicative of the social beliefs regarding the death of a person. So this description of bad omens mainly contains first, before the news of Rajyavardhana's death, Harsha, being deeply connected to his elder brother, felt something unusual and experienced the bad omens like cracking of the iron pillar. The language also darkens the situation by one arya, which goes like this: Dvipopagita gunamapi, samuparjita ratna rashi saramapi, Otam pavana iva vidhi purushamakande nipatayati. So the Yamika is singing this arya, and he is indicating to some unknown events and killing of a valorous person. Then in the next part of Uchvasa, after the vow of Harsha, the enemies felt the bad omens because now Harsha is attacking the enemy. So quite a long description of these omens is seen in the kingdom of enemies. The animals and birds acted weirdly. Mainly black deer, wolves and peacocks are mentioned here, which are deeply connected with the social beliefs regarding the death of a person. Then another interesting mention is of a kotavi. Usually the reference of kotavi is of a naked woman who points out to the person approaching death, and she is said to wander on the streets usually at night time. But here, because of bad omen, the kotavi is seen to wander on the streets even in the daytime, and she is pointing to the enemy's valorous soldiers, so that now their death is approaching to them. So dangerous and inauspicious appearance of that kotavi is mentioned in the Uchvasa. With these findings, I conclude that the sixth Uchvasa of Harsha Charitam is full of specialities of language, which are usually studied by Sanskrit scholars. The rich culture is gleaned throughout the text, which needs to be studied deeper for cultural references. Then the date of Bana is certain, that is in early 7th century. So the study of these socio-cultural factors will truly throw light on the customs and traditions prevalent in the 7th century. Thank you. धन्यवाद.
शोधपत्रं पठितुम् अहम् आह्वयामि. डॉक्टर शैली चेस्ते भार्या. समयः न्यूनः अस्ति, तस्मात् 5 निमेषेषु समापयतु.
Good morning all. My topic is Vritti, a language of dance. I directly start with the topic. A According to Bharatanaट्य Shastra, the concept of vritti is more related to the subject of drama. These vrittis are also basic characteristics. They appear to be used in a special way in Sanskrit dramas. However, according to the context of Sangeet Ratnakara, vritti is also used in the dance. And this research paper is the main topic of the research is whether it is possible to create composition using these vrittis in dance, especially for Bharatanatyam, and whether it can be used in performance. This thing is primarily focused in this research paper. So we'll see the okay. There are 4 types of vritti. One is Bharati, second is Aravati, Satviti and Kaishiki. We'll just shortly go through with the definitions of these vrittis. Basically, these 4 types of vrittis mentioned here. The story is told in Natya Shastra that these vrittis arose out of the war between Vishnu and Madhu Kaitava. The story is explained as a Madhu and Kaitava maddened with the pride of their strength and challenged the god Vishnu at once for the battle. These two, after making gestures of challenge, fought the imperishable Lord Vishnu with their fists and legs. And while doing so, the two parties also abused each other with harsh words. And the following is an explanation. With the context of this battle story, the vrittis are basically originated. So firstly, the Bharati vritti. The Bharati vritti is generated from these abusing words. Bharatamuni said on this that about the origin of Bharati vritti is hearing the various abusing words of these two who were threatening Vishnu. Brahma was slightly perturbed in mind and said, "Is this Bharati vritti?" The Vishnu replied to him, "Yes, I have made this Bharati vritti to do my work. It will be the Bharati vritti of the speaker, and which words will be prominent." In the context of Bharati vritti, Bharatamuni further said that time Hari placing with the Sthanaka. Sthanaka is a special leg movements which is used in a dance performance or in drama. Spacing with the Sthanakas on the ground and created a great burden on the earth. The Bharati vritti was built on that. The story came in the Natya Shastra. According to Sangeet Ratnakara, Sharangadev defined Bharati vritti as Bharati is considered to be a verbal style preferred by the male elite, with Sanskrit phrases as the main ones, and the Karuna and Vibhatsa Rasa as the predominant in Bharati vritti. Then second is a Satvati vritti. Satvati vritti originated by the rebounding of the bow named Sharanga, which was intensely brilliant and steady, and by the excess of underbred sattva. Satvati vritti is made, all those sattva bhavas and all those sattvic gunas are considered in the Bharati vritti. And the Sangeet Ratnakara gives the definition of Bharati vritti is sattva, mind full of sattva light and the joy, bravery and sacrifices that arises from that heart of the sattva bhavas. The Satvati vritti is which these bhavas are the main. And the Veera, Raudra and Adbhuta are the main emotions of Satvati vritti. Then Kaishiki vritti. The story behind Kaishiki vritti is that when in the course of fighting, the god moves sportively in the various angaras. Angaras is again a different body movement which is used in a dance performances or which is used in a drama, any performances. And tied up his knot, and the Kaishika vritti was made. So if we can see these vrittis are generated in the from very small gestures which are used in those battle and which are observed by the Brahma and by the Vishnu. Kaishiki vritti is which beauty is the only life, endowed in elegant songs and dances full of beauty. So basically Sangeet Ratnakara's statement is that Kaishiki vritti is mostly used in the dance performances because it's more of a beauty and more of a graceful styles and more of a Shrungara rasa. Then fourth is Aravati vritti. From the various ways of personal contacts which were full of energy and excitement and which entitled various charis and Aravati vritti was made. Sangeet Ratnakara says about Aravati vrittis is the importance of body trade, and Aravati vritti is shown from this arising from the bodies of those warriors. Raudra and Bhayanaka rasas are predominant in the vritti. So my personal conclusion is, if we consider this vritti from the point of view of dance, it can be seen that from the explanation of vritti can be used in dance and when it is being done. Only it is not given a separate term vritti. So basically these vrittis we are already used in dance one, but we couldn't identify that is a Bharati vritti or that is a Satvati vritti or a particular vritti we couldn't identify. So my basic thing is that how can we perform those vritti and how can we show the vritti from the dance performances. According to the context, in Sangeet Ratnakara, Kaishaki vritti can be used in dance, as this vritti is composed of dance and songs, is the vritti of Shringara Rasa Pradhana. Shringara Rasa is an integral part of a poetry. In Bharatnatyam or any dance form, Shringara Rasa's dominant compositions are performed. Many in every 7 classical or 7 or 8 classical dance, Shringara Rasa padams are performed. For example, Ashtapadi in Gita Govinda. Ashtapadi from Gita Govindam, a poem composed by Jayadeva, can be taken as an example of Kaishika Vritti. If you can go through with the YouTube videos, we will get the many Gita Govindam padams and Gita Govindam kirtanans are available in different dance form. For nowadays, Odissi dance form is also based on a Gita Govindam. They always perform the Gita Govinda. So that can be a Kaishika Vritti. Because the Shringara Rasa Purna and very graceful style they have used in their performances. Also, then Bharati Vritti. Bharati Vritti is a rhetorical Vritti and dance forms are not rhetorical. We don't use, while we perform the dance, we don't use any verbal form of dance, verbal things in dance performances. So as this Vritti composed of dance and songs and is Vritti still, Bharati Vritti can be used in dance, although the dance is not verbal. Many artists today are seen using dialogue or verbal acting while dancing. For example, there is one dance production by Dr. Janaki Rangarajan, who is a famous dancer, world's famous dancer, and she composed, Janaki Akka composed one Unraveled Draupadi. The famous dance production, and Janaki Akka used those verbal forms in that production. If you YouTube it, because I don't have that permission to show some videos or some chunks to here. So if you can YouTube it, you can find that Unraveled Draupadi dance production. So basically, Dr. Janaki Rangarajan used dialogues in that dance performance. This type of dance performance is closer to be a Bharati Vritti. So we can do the different types of experiments for Bharati Vritti. For this paper, I just considered 2 Vrittis because time was too short and many things happening simultaneously. So Bharati Vritti we can show by the dialogues, or here I have mentioned one example also. The Guru Smita Mahajan, who composed this composition, and this is the Lakshmi Parvati Samvad. And in Sanskrit literature, we have a great, huge culture of a dialogue. I mean, the Samvad Sukta are there, so dialogues are there. So we can perform, we can compose those dialogues, and we can present through our dance. So this can be a Bharati Vritti example. So I have not yet create anything, but for future, my future plan is to compose something and to perform something for Bharati Vritti. So I'll directly conclude with the paper that Natya Shastra, according to just conclusions. According to Natya Shastra, Vrittis are originated from the battle of Vishnu and Madhu Kaithava, and Sangeet Ratnakar explained the essence and beauties of the Vrittis. By the explanation of Vritti, we can say that Vrittis can be used in dance performances. Artists can compose different composition, different jatis and korvais, which is based on the Vrittis. In fact, by the percussion or by the instruments, artists can compose for the dance performance. So this paper is actually really basic, but I will try to do something according to something new with the Vritti basis. Thank you so much.
प्रत्येक भाई जहाँ संकेवा गौरी महेश देसाई एंड तनुश्री सुनील रंजन कृपया मंच में आते निर्देशां तथा यावत् भविष्यति तावता अग्रिमं पत्रं पठितुं शक्यते मिस्टर् निकम अनंतन Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to present a paper on cultural significance of Sino-Russian. The word culture and civilization first come to be used in an idealistic sense in Western Europe from the second half of the 18th century. It is generally admitted that culture is not a part of nature, but it is something acquired. It is not an individual acquisition, but handed down from the past as part of tradition. In this sense, culture gets defined as the tradition of values of self-realization. Values are the objects of valuing, a fundamental human activity. Valuing implies seeking, choosing and approving. At the level of human mind, the seeking becomes self-conscious as well as the process of seeking becomes symbolized. The expression and communication of valued experiences gives as a social historical actuality to the ideal process, and the cultural world is created as historical tradition of the human endeavor for self-realization. The familiar view which the historians tend to take is to think of culture as something possessed by a certain society located in a certain area or age as some definable group of people. Culture here becomes the form and achievement of a certain society, a social tradition. If we consider the tradition, the Sayana's role in this tradition is very much important. So considering the aspect of Sayana must be very interesting in this regard. So Sayanacharya occupies a unique place in the history of Sanskrit literature and culture. The learned commentaries written by him on the Vedic Samhitas and Brahmanas are the most important work of their kind, which are of immense value to us for the proper exposition of the substantial truths which these works of hoary antiquity contain. There have been a host of commentators of the Vedas even before the advent of Sayana, but unknown as many of their works are. Most of them are mere names to us. Indeed, the only commentator who has had the rare good fortune of coming upon all the four Vedas and whose comments are still extant is the great Sainacharya himself. He was along with his equally famous elder brother Madhavacharya. So Saina's life was his learning towards Vedic religion. During his entire life, as a servant of the royal court, he had to mix in society of this divergent nature, had to take part in luxurious and accompanied his royal patrons in such a military campaigns, which at times were also aimed at gaining wealth from the spoils of victory. But despite being the company of such a divergent class of people, he remained a religious man and a true disciple of his spiritual preceptor. He amassed great wealth under the patronage of his royal masters, but he spent it all either for his family or friends or displaying the spiritual activities like commentary, writing commentary on the Vedic Samhita. In 13th century, if you consider the cultural aspect of that particular century, we find the Persian influence on the culture. So in this regard, the Saina plays a very crucial role while commenting on commentaries. We know that Vedo Akhilo Dharma Moolam. So Dharma was a much more comprehensive than the modern understanding of spirituality. Dharma defined society, it defined code of conduct, it defined culture and civilization. The performance of the sacred ritual of Yajna was an integral part of observance of Dharma and spiritual advancement. The ritual of Yajna had a highly symbolic and spiritual original meaning which is evident in the study of the Brahmana text of the Veda. Saina was born in South Indian Brahman family. His father was Mayana and his mother was Srimati. He was a Brahmana of the Bharatvaja Gotra, Bodhayana Sutra and Krishna Yajurveda. He belonged to the Taitiriya Shakta of the Black Yajurveda.
The conclusions,
I skip some portion. So directly coming to the some very important portion of the Saina's commentary, and if we consider the Saina's contribution, we have to understand his tradition, his traditional knowledge, and his contribution in the explanation of the Vedic words in his commentary. And we found that the Aurobindo's philosophical explanation and Sainacharya's explanation was totally different. But nowadays we find that the philosophical explanation was very much popular, but not the Saina's. So through commentary, what we find that there are not many explanation of the phonological explanation in our Indian tradition. But the Saina, what he explained in the Rigveda 1:1:1, so he has given many peculiarities of the Vedic phonology while explaining the changes of the to l in the word ide, that is Rigveda 1.1.1. Saina has explained why the is changed to l is acknowledged by a group of people known as a Bharucha Sampradaya, and this is a very cultural significance that he mentioned. He has given a reference of the local community in his commentary. This is the greatest example of cultural exchange. This sound is in a sense not only a peculiar sound to Vedic, but also it is one of the very important sound in Indo-Aryan. In the Middle Indo-Aryan period, this sound is lost except in Pali, where both l and l are preserved. These l and the are cerebral sound. In modern Indian languages, this sound is found in Oriya, Punjabi, Marathi, and Gujarati. Also, there are some morphological explanation that Saina has given, and there are sacrificial explanations also. But I keep that portion. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
अग्रिमं पत्रं पठितुम् अहं गौरीं तथा तुलसीम् आह्वयामि। समयपालनं कुर्वन्तु इति प्रार्थयामि।
नमो नमः सर्वेभ्यः। वाल्मीकिरामायणस्य तथा च तस्य आधुनिकचित्रणस्य तौलनिकम् अध्ययनम् इति विषयं स्वीकृत्य शोधनिबन्धं प्रस्तूयामहे। नमो नमः। रामायणं नाम रामस्य अयनं तस्य जीवनं भारतस्य हृद्यतमम् आराधितम् आर्षकाव्यं वर्तते। तस्मिन् कथाः युगे युगे प्रचलन्ति, परन्तु अधुना आधुनिकदृष्ट्या रामायणचित्रणस्य प्रवृत्तिः वर्धमाना, येन आर्षकाव्यस्य सांस्कृतिकक्षयस्य विषये चिन्ताः उत्पन्नाः। आधुनिकशस्त्राणां प्रयोगः आर्षकाव्यस्य महतां क्षीणां करोति, यत् अनिष्टस्य उपरि इष्टस्य विजयः। वाल्मीकिरामायणे तु रामलक्ष्मणं स्वबलं प्रयुज्य रावणं पराजितवन्तः, परन्तु आधुनिकचलच्चित्रे आदिपुरुषे आधुनिकशस्त्रप्रयोगं दर्शितम्। चलच्चित्रस्य प्रयोजनं रामायणस्य आध्यात्मिक-नैतिकपाठ्यानाम् अपेक्षया वीरतायाः दर्शनविषये एवमधिकं दृश्यते। एतेन वयं ज्ञातुं शक्नुमः यत् आर्षकाव्यस्य गर्भितार्थस्य बोधनापेक्षया प्रेक्षकाणां मनोरञ्जने चलच्चित्रदर्शकस्य रुचिः अधिका। एतेन रामायणस्य नैतिकतत्त्वानां तथा च सांस्कृतिकतत्त्वानां हानिः भवितुमर्हति। आर्षकाव्यस्य रामायणस्य महत्त्वपूर्णं भागमस्ति सीतायाः अन्वेषणं। यथा काव्यस्य आत्मा ध्वनिः, तथा रामायणस्य आत्मा सीतान्वेषणम्। अस्मिन् काव्ये अस्य विषये नैके प्रसङ्गाः उद्धृताः। सीतापहरणात् अनन्तरं रामः तस्याः अन्वेषणार्थं बहुकालं यापयति। एतावता कालं रावणेन बद्धा सीता कदापि न निराशा, सीतायाः स्थितप्रज्ञत्वं दर्शयति। अन्ते यदा सीतारामयोः मेलनम् अभवत्, तदा सर्वे आनन्देन अभिभूताः अभवन्। सीतान्वेषणं रामसीतयोः परस्परं प्रीतिं स्मारयति। रामायणे रामस्य राजपुत्रतः मर्यादापुरुषोत्तमपर्यन्तं यात्रायाः वर्णनं कृतम्।
अहं प्रार्थे यत् वक्तव्यं पुरुषम् अग्रे।
अस्माकं मतानुसारेण रामायणस्य सुलभीकरणे तथा च तस्य गर्भितार्थलक्षणे समवायस्य आवश्यकता वर्तते। रामायणस्य आधुनिकचित्रणं तस्य मूलकथायाः विकृतीकरणाय, तस्य सांस्कृतिकमहत्त्वस्य अधोगमनाय वा न कर्तव्यम्। किञ्चित् आदिपुरुषचित्रपटस्य विषये वदामि। आदिपुरुषचित्रपटस्य आरम्भे रामः पिशाचसदृशैः राक्षसैः सह युद्धं करोति। तथैव राक्षसाः हैरी पॉटर शृङ्खलायाः तृतीयचित्रपटे डिमेण्टोर्स् इत्यत्र दर्शिताः। आदिपुरुषे रावणः सीतां जतुकायाः उपरि लताभिः बद्ध्वा लङ्काम् आनयति। अस्मिन् चलच्चित्रे रावणः सर्वदा जतुकारूढः। अस्योपरि मुख्यत्वेन गेम् आफ् थ्रोन्स् इति आङ्ग्लचलच्चित्रस्य सांस्कृतिकप्रभावः द्रष्टुं शक्नुमः। आदिपुरुषे सम्पातिप्रसङ्गः न स्वीकृतमस्ति, यतोहि अयं प्रसङ्गः रामायणे महत्त्वपूर्णः। चलच्चित्रे वालिवधस्य अनन्तरं सुग्रीवः तस्य सेनां जानकीम् अन्वेष्टुम् आदेशयति। लङ्कावर्णनं प्रभावीरूपेण गेम् आफ् थ्रोन्स् इत्यस्य परिदृश्यमस्ति। तस्य उड्डयनं कृतवन्तः सर्पाः, अन्धकारमयाः स्थानाः, तथा च लङ्का कीदृशी अस्ति इति दूरगामी विचाराः आगताः। एतादृशाः नैके प्रसङ्गाः सन्ति ये आदिपुरुषे न दर्शितं, यथा रामसुग्रीवयोः मेलनं, वालिवधस्य मुख्यकारणं किं, वालिरामयोः अन्तिमः महत्त्वपूर्णः संवादः, हनुमतः मार्ग अवरोधनाय सुरसा, सिंहिका, लङ्किनी इत्यादीनां राक्षसीणां वर्णनं न कृतम्। यदा आवां वाल्मीकिरामायणस्य तथा च आधुनिकचित्रणस्य आदिपुरुषस्य तौलनिकम् अध्ययनं कृतं, तदा एतादृशम् अध्ययनम् आवाम् अन्धगजन्यायस्य स्मरणं कारयति। एषा अन्धसमूहस्य कथा अस्ति, ये पूर्वं गजं न ज्ञात्वा गजस्पर्शं कृत्वा गज कीदृशम् इति कल्पयति, गजः कीदृशम् इति कल्पयन्ति। प्रत्येक अन्धः गजशरीरस्य भिन्नं भागं स्पर्शयित्वा गजवर्णनं करोति। तेषां गजवर्णनानि च परस्परं भिन्नानि भवन्ति। तथैव वयं रामतत्त्वं ज्ञातुं न समर्थाः। वयं सर्वे अस्य कथायाः अन्धाः। रामतत्त्वं तु गजः। आदिपुरुषस्य दिग्दर्शकेन आङ्ग्लचित्रपटानाम् अन्धानुसरणस्य नेत्रपट्टिकां बद्धा अस्ति। परन्तु तत्र रामानन्दसागरमहोदयसदृशाः नैकाः दिग्दर्शकाः सन्ति ये रामायणस्य तथा च रामतत्त्वस्य संस्कृतेः भाषायाः च हानिः नैव करोति। धन्यवादाः।
शोधपत्रं पठितुम् अहं गौरी तथा अञ्जलि कबाडि आह्वानं करोमि।
Namo Namaha. Hello, I am Anjali Kaure and I am Gauri. We are students of Deccan College, MA Parliament. We are presenting a research abstract on Sanna, a short analysis of Yajna. Yajna tradition has been given a unique importance in Indian culture. In Vedic times, Yajna dharma was predominant. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhavah. Yajnat bhavanti parjanyo yajnah karma samudbhavah. According to this verse of Bhagavad Gita, Yajna was ruled for the dual welfare of transcendental and worldly. It was considered as a form of religion itself. The rule of Yajna are given in Shravta Sutras, the mantras to be chanted and the method to be performed in the religion. It is elaborated in Vedas, that is Shruti. It is called as Shravta Dharma. Codes of Vedas become sacrificial offering of the Vedic literature. The Brahmana texts were the scriptures of Vedic sacrificial system. So after this, the Vedangas come into Upanishad period. Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chanda and Jyotish. Kalpa means Vidhi Vidhan, which has four types: Dharma Sutra, Shulpa Sutra, Shauta Sutra and Gruhya Sutra. Shauta Sutras are useful in interpreting the Vedas. That is, they tell the appropriation of the mantras, which shed the good light of the meaning of mantras. A Agni Haviya Adhyapa Devan, which is quoted in Rigveda.
There are 4 types of havis: Sugandhita, Pushtikaraka, Mishta, Rogashamak. Sugandhita includes Kasturi, Keshar, called Sannaya. The word Sannaya comes under root Sam Adhikani, which means to put together. In Darshapurna Maseshti, the Havi is given to Lord Indra. Sannaya Havi is prepared by milk and curd. The curd, which is made from cultured milk, and the extraction of cow milk in early morning, which is boiled, that is Pratah Dohan, are used to make Sannaya Havi. A story comes in Shatapada Brahmana that when Indra killed Vrudra by his thunderbolt Vajra, then he became weak and was in search for nourishment, but he refused to take Purodasha Havi. He wanted something pleasant to drink. Soma is one of the favorite drink of Indra, so deities made him Havi in the form of Soma. This Soma, which is considered to be deity's food, has part of moon in it. When this moon is not visible in the sky on Amavasya, it comes to Prithvi Lok and gets mixed in water and medicines. So that's why it is called as Amavasya. Tad yadesha etam ratrim iha amavasati tasmat amavasya nama. This reference comes under in Shatapada Brahmana. This water and medicines, which consists Soma Amsha, gets eaten by cows. Soma Amsha gets received in cow's milk. So the milk and cultured milk, that is dahi, is used in Sannaya Havi. Just like how Soma is satisfactory and nourishing, the Sannaya Havi is also satisfactory and nourishing, and it is also sanative. The person who knows about Sannaya Havi and who offers this Havi on Amavasya gets free from sins as well as diseases, and his wishes like Pashukamana gets completed.
Okay, so in conclusion, we can say that firstly, in Vedic era, when Yajna was significant and part of everyday life, every person had cattle in their houses. So it is said that Godhana, the number of cows in one's house, declared his wealth. So in that time, the quantity of milk and grita was abundant. Secondly, we can say nowadays people think of Amavasya Tithi in negative manner. They avoid important works on Amavasya. But every Tithi has its own importance and various rituals are performed on that Tithi as well. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
कौशिकी कल्याण अत्र आगमः स्वभाषणेन स्थापनीयः
The word SANSKRIT. I want to tell the history of this word. When Rabindranath Tagore was working on culture, he could not find the proper word. So he used the word Krushti, but he was not happy with it. So I think one of the professors from Pune, most probably it is Dr. Ashok Kedkar from Deccan College, but I am not sure about it. Since he had been previously in Shantiniketan, Rabindranath Tagore asked him, can you suggest a good word for culture? At that time, Kedkarji referred to P.L. Vaidya, Dr. P.L. Vaidya, who was working as the editor of the critical edition of Bhandarkar Institute. And he had coined the word Sanskriti for culture. So, this India owes this to Pune for this work. Then, in these papers, there were some about the language, and others were about Hasta-Pallavi and Pada-Pallavi also. They are also forms of language, we can say. Another very important point I can say, that while presenting that paper, Dr. Jeste used the word YouTubing. So now you will think that this is a new word or new tendency. But the Sanskritis, they will immediately understand that this is now, now what is globalization is mainly of mercantile. But this is what India has globalized from ages together, since ages together, since remote past. It has passed on ideas and knowledge. So Sanskritis will immediately remember the Chvi formations, which are from adjectives. So for us it is not new. Original languages were very near to the nature. For them also it will not be new. But in English it is a new phenomenon. After some days we might Amazon the things. We might display the TV or something like that. Then one thing I must tell, it is very commendable to present the paper in Sanskrit. Luckily, there are so many good Sanskrit scholars still in today. So when the young generation, when the young scholars are presenting it, they should get it corrected from some senior person. That will better their performance. So papers in general. Then I am told to read some of my work. I will finish it in maybe 5 minutes. This is a paper, Social Linguistic Study, which also deals with language and culture, of 2 words. One is Shreshti and the other is Bhava. Shreshti is pan-Indian word. Nowadays also it is used in Marathi, mainly in Paksha Shreshti, denoting an eminent person. And in ancient, Vedic literature also the word occurs, where it is also neutral, a noble or eminent person. In Pali, the word became Sethi. And then from Sethi, in Marathi again via Pali, the word came as Shet and Shetji. And it did not remain unisex, it had the feminine form as Shetan. So, I will deal with how the meaning changed. Because Seth and Shet or Seth and Shetani, they suggest the merchants. In Shet it is the merchant. So how from the noble the word changed to be a merchant. Before going to the reason, I will deal with another word, which is Bhava. Everybody knows what the meaning of the Bhava is. It is in Pali, it is the pronunciation of the word Bhagavan. And then in Marathi, Bhava has become from noun to adjective, suggesting the saffron color. In other languages also it has come to mean the same. Actually for Bhagava there are so many words from Sanskrit, Kapisha, Pingala, etc. etc. But how come it has become the color from the name, from the noun? And also, Anfeldhouse and there is a dictionary of Old Marathi compiled by Dr. Kulkule and finished by Dr. Anfeldhouse. There Bhagava is said to be derogatory and it is derived from group. So when looking into the meaning development of these two, I have to omit so much. I will not deal with social linguistics, etc. You must be knowing about it. So I will come to the So on the social linguistic background, let us discuss this problem. As has been seen before, the meaning of the word in the secular non-Vedic text is totally different. Heiser has remarked in this context, in none of these instances is there any indication of the occupation or way of living of Shrishti. All other references to the Shrishti do not go back earlier than the Buddhist period. That is the last third of the first millennium before our era. It is thus clear that the Vedic term Shrishti cannot be connected with the occupation of a treasurer, banker, or even with the head of a guild. Quotation complete. His remark is very important in the present context, and hence it is necessary to see the peculiarities of the two societies, the Vedic and the Buddhist. Sacrifice was a very important feature of the Vedic society. The whole culture was centered around it. The sacrifice was performed for the obtainment of progeny, cattle, position, wealth, etc. That is for all kinds of material prosperity and achievements. Even heaven, marriage and wife were very necessary and played a very important role. It is necessary to note here that in Vedic times there were only three goals of human life or existence, which were dharma, artha and kama. Moksha, it seems, was not a goal or aim of life in those times. In whole of the Vedic literature, there is no occurrence of the word moksha. According to the dictionary of Göttling and Roth, its first occurrence is in the BHARAT. Similar is the case regarding the word sannyasa. It is only the Taittiriya Aranyaka and the Mundaka where the word is attested in a compound as sannyasa yoga, etc. Now, by the Grihastha-shrama, Manu says, the stage of the householders are they, something is wrong. Hence the householder is the most senior or important ashrama, the stage of life. This is the case of the Vedic society. However, that does not mean that there was nobody who renunciate or become a priest. Among the yatis, rishis and munis, there might have been so many who might have renunciated, but comparatively the number of such persons must have been very less. Further, they might have been in the forest having less contact with and hence much less dependence on the society. They were not a burden on the society. Now about the Buddhist society. Exactly opposite was the case regarding the Buddhist society. There was much importance to renunciate and to remain in the society even after renunciation. Those who renunciated were called parivrajakas and the sannyasis. It can safely be said that sannyasa or the sannyasis entered Hinduism through Buddhism only. This is evident from the reference in the Arthashastra, which is the first secular scientific text. Therein, author Kautilya, when he speaks about the duties of various ashramas, enumerates them as Grihastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha and Parivrajaka. The word sannyasa is not found there. The Buddhist monks used to stay in the monastery and survive on the alms they used to beg from the householders. Thus, in a way or in every way, they were dependent on society. It is true that the religion, the religious advice, the religious sermons, the meditation and the asceticism, etc. are necessary in the society, but it has to be accepted that the monks who practice these are in a way unproductive and have to rely for sustenance completely on society or the rituals. Eventually, the Vaishyas in it. Here again, it would not be out of place to quote Madhav Deshpande. He says, the Buddhist position has two aspects, that is, higher philosophical opposition to social ranking and a down-to-earth re-ranking of the social order. On the higher philosophical plane, Buddha totally rejected hereditary caste rank and reinterpreted the caste terms as ethical categories. However, on the lower plane, there is a clear assertion that Kshatriyas are superior to Brahmins. Quotation complete. Same phenomenon might have taken place regarding Shresthiyorism. As we seen before, the Buddhist religion and society were dependent for survival on the Vaishyas and their money. Hence, that class in the society became very important, foremost and supreme. It became Shrestha, and the colorless Vedic term Shreshtin, which was independent of caste and class, became Sethi in Pali and became denotative of that particular class, that is Vaishya, a merchant, banker, a chief of a group, etc. His wife then became Sethini. Not only this, further the rich Vaishyas in the society, like Anathapindika, etc., became Mahasethis. In course of time, both these words entered Marathi and together with it also in some other regional languages. The Vedic word Shreshti entered as it is, retaining the original meaning, whereas the same word, by entering Vahya Pali form, Sethi, became Seth, Shet or Shetji, with the meaning shopkeeper, merchant or a wealthy person in general. Kannada language also has accepted it as Shetty, and in Malayalam it became Chettiya. In Odia language also, there is the word Shet, meaning a wealthy person, but it is a colloquial usage. Its synonym, however, in literary language is Mahajana, meaning a money lender, landlord, or a wealthy person. Wealthy person also might have similar history. Moreover, the word sadhu in Jainism, also from which are derived in Marathi, the words such as Savakar, Savukar in Hindi, and Shahu also point towards the same historical process. Now about Bhagava, it also deals with Buddhism. Now the other word Bhagava has also the Buddhist background. After the foundations of the Buddhist religion, Buddha attained the epithet Bhagavan, which means sacred, respectable, celebrated, etc. The word is attested also in the Vedic text. It became Bhagava in Pali. In Buddhism, there was a certain dress code for the monks. Their clothes were called chivar. In the beginning, it was the practice to collect rags, stitch them together, and color them red or saffron. The dye generally used was mud or some herbal color. First, the person wearing such saffron-colored garments was Bhagavan Buddha. In due course, all those who were wearing such clothes seem to have been called by the same name. Later on, the color of cloth due to which the person was called Bhagava also came to be recognized by the same word. A process parallel to this can be seen in the use of the word Rajanish or Osho, a spiritual teacher in Pune. His cult was ignored and moreover became notorious afterwards in Pune, but outside India, Pune came to be known after him. Rajanish or Osho was his epithet first, then his followers. The specific style of garments they all used and its color came to be denoted by the same word. Now the problem remains as to why it is that the word Bhagava, meaning recluse or ascetic, is said to be derogatory. The reason might be the Buddhist religion emerged in India and had firm roots and grew there for some time. Further, it spread widely in and outside India. From the 7th century, however, due to certain circumstances, it began to decline in India. Among the reasons of it, the first was the invasions of the Muslims, then the deliberate efforts of the Puranakaras for the revival of Hinduism, but the most important according to Kanji, was the state of the Buddhist monasteries at that time. Thus, he has commented, I quote, in the first quarter of the 5th century AD, Falyan found Buddhism in a flourishing condition in India, while in the first half of the 7th century AD, Yuan Chuan appears to say that the decline of Buddhism had set in. Yixing found Buddhism very much on the decline in the beginning of the 8th century AD. Quotation complete. He further states, monasteries of Buddhist monks and nuns became in course of time centers of idleness, pleasures and immorality, and of debased practices like those of Vajrayana Tantrism. A well-known scholar like Rahul Sampradyayan, himself a Buddhist bhikshu, was constrained to say, I quote, the monasteries and temples were gorged with guests due to the pious offerings made by the multitudes. The life of the monk became more comfortable than that of the layman. The discipline weakened and many unfit persons entered the community. The easy life must have inclined the minds towards sensuality. If one reads Chullavagga, one may understand how the monks and nuns in immense monasteries led in Chullavagga, led in some cases to sampling the ordinary observances of decency and morality. Chullavagga narrates how some monks threw dirty water on nuns and how they uncovered their bodies and eyes before nuns. Quotation complete. The situation in Maharashtra seems not to be much different from this. Hence it is that in the 13th century Marathi poem called Charitra, the word Bhagava etc. are used derogatorily. Thus, the study of these words shows that even though it is said time and again that Buddhism went or was driven out of India, it has percolated variously in this land, and the study of literature, together with history, would bring out many interesting points into light. Thank you for your patient listening.
प्रोफेसर प्रसाद जोशीवरील अभय आर्यायः समारोह एतत् सत्रं समाप्तम् इति उद्घोषयामि। धन्यवादः।